Hello. What's
We're
going
live.
on? It's PHNX Cardinals, Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable. And can the Cardinals do what they haven't done since the 1970s and win on the road in Minnesota, Johnny Venerable?
It hasn't been that long, but it's been a hot minute since we've seen Darius Robinson suit up as an Arizona Cardinal on a football Sunday. What to expect from D-Rob's debut? That's coming up now on PHNX Cardinals. Hello and welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Johnny Venerable, he's Bo Brock, live in Studio K. We got our guy Damon, Dawg, behind the mic. Happy Black Friday, everybody. And speaking of Black Friday, the deals are elite with our friends at ALLCITY. Up to 75% off the ALLCITY locker right now. Not yesterday, not a week ago, right now. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com for 30% off the entire flippin' store, up to 75% off. Get your hoodies, get your t-shirts, get your sweatshirts, hats, and more right now. How about that? Chef's Kiss, upper right-hand corner. The very best sweatshirt we've ever done, Bo Brock.
That's right. I locked in actually those the middle and top right, added into my hoodie collection. I'm very excited about that. And I saved 30% while doing so. You should as well. Check it out right now. The ALLCITY Black Friday sale continues right now. Let me get the web address one more time. How about store.allcitynetwork.com? You'll be able to find all of those beauties and more. So pumped to be here. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Look at that, a new festive hold the line graphic there.
Yes.
But, Claymore Jones, Andy, the Rickety Bridge. You've got Mr. Fat Gangster. How about Andy, Owen? Got the entire squad in here. Make sure to drop a like on this video. Sylvia Cleveland, if you're watching on Twitter, come on over. The YouTube waters. Very nice right now. Also, those tuning in on TV, fantastic. Keep that, keep it locked to this very dial right now.
Another one of our phenomenal presenting partners today, Bet365. Everybody want to take a guess? The line opened up Arizona Cardinals at Minnesota at about 3. It then jumped to 4. It has dipped now sub 4. It is 3.5 right now. The Arizona Cardinals at Minnesota. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. You like that number for the Arizona Cardinals? I don't want to give too much of your reveal later in the show, but how do you feel about that line right now?
You have to feel encouraged by it, right? The Cardinals, after a bad performance going on the road against the 9-2 team, did that number shrink a little bit because of who might be available for the Arizona Cardinals, that their strong suit is going to potentially get stronger on the defensive side of the football?
I like those odds right now. I think Vegas is telling you that the Cardinals match up well against the Minnesota Vikings, and we're going to talk all day today about why we believe that's to be the case. But before we do that, Bo Brock, Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon spoke to you and the rest of the Phoenix media earlier today pertaining to his team, and knock on wood, beyond just this game, pretty healthy for the Redbirds as compared to seasons prior. We're about to hit the early portion of December. December 1st is kickoff on Sunday. I can't remember, knock on wood, a healthier time for the Cardinals this late in the season.
Yeah, aside from the guys that were lost for the season, the Arizona Cardinals are nearly at full strength, and that's with the highly anticipated return for one Darius Robinson, which it really feels like that's trending towards. But, Calvin Beachum, Jonah Williams, two guys on the right side of that offensive line were good. Jonah Williams completely off the injury report. He had a shoulder issue that popped up earlier this week coming off the knee. He was a full participant in practice. Jalen Thompson was at each and every one of the 3 practices for the Cardinals this week, coming off an ankle injury. So Arizona Cardinals are getting stronger. Now they need to hopefully make the right decisions as far as deploying the lineup. Yeah, here's the injury report. Special teams ace, gunner extraordinaire Joey Blount did show up today. He was limited as he had a hip issue kind of come out, and then he had the back issue from Mari Dermacado. But outside of that, the Arizona Cardinals looking pretty good going up against the Vikings. Vikings have their replacement left tackle questionable with a foot, but Cam Robinson was back at practice today, Johnny. So they should be potentially at just down their second string as far as that position goes.
Yeah, it looks like Harrison Smith, the standout safety, didn't practice, but rest. We anticipate him playing. And again, the Vikings relatively healthy, just like the Cardinals. Now, a number or a name that I'd like to point out, Stephon Gilmore. I mean, this is a team for Minnesota that's older on the back end. Harrison Smith, Stephon Gilmore. And I think the Cardinals have an advantage there with their youthful skill players. And we're going to talk about that throughout the duration of the show. But Stephon Gilmore versus Marvin Harrison Jr., I like that matchup for the Arizona Cardinals, very similar to maybe Jalen Ramsey a couple of weeks ago and what Marv did to number 5 for Miami. So a lot of good underlying stories for this game. Vegas expects this to be a field goal game either way, as do I. We put it in the thumbnail, tease it on the show. This is not a must-win for the Cardinals, in my opinion. Like, they come out of this game 6-6, take care of business against Seattle. You beat the Carolinas, the New Englands of the world. Suddenly you're 9-6, and your route to the postseason looks pretty achievable. Here's what I will say. This would be a statement win for the Arizona Cardinals. This would define, I think, their season. I think they win this game, Bo Brock. They make the playoffs. They win the division. I think this could project them to the rest of this season into January. Doesn't mean a loss derails anything, but it is a statement game. It would be a statement game for Jonathan Gannon. You look up and down the Minnesota Vikings' recent schedule history. They're living a charmed life right now. Very similar to a team in Kansas City that's playing that just barely beat out the Raiders. I think there's a lot of similarities in terms of how they're finishing games. Like the Vikings, they're incredibly well coached, but they're led by a quarterback in Sam Darnold, who at the end of the day, you should have an advantage over if you're Arizona.
Yeah, very much like last week, right? To take away from Geno Smith, everybody wrote Geno Smith off. He didn't write back or whatever stupid saying he had. And same thing goes for Sam Darnold. People were writing him off, and he's had a renaissance, right? Over 20 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions, doing a really good job, accurate with the football for the most part. He's up there around 67% completion percentage. But getting back to your point, as far as, being able to pull a victory out here would make a statement, and it would boost your postseason chances exponentially. I mean, it would going out on the road and winning this game on the heels of the loss that they would have, regardless of what the Seahawks do. According to Pro Football Focus, just punching the numbers there, the Cardinals' chances of making the playoffs go to 65%. Yeah, great. Right here, Ghost Hands Damon Dawg with the graphic ready to go. With the loss, they drop under 50% all the way down to 37%. And then you got the Vikings too, or the Seahawks, a lot to play for. Game on the road against the Jets, where they're only favored by 1, which I think is kind of a miscalculation by the sharps in Vegas. I think that the Seahawks should win that game handily. They're 50 with a win. They're at 54% over a coin flip. And then you've got with a loss only 27%, because I think everybody realized what you just said, Johnny. Even though the road gets a lot rockier, you got to hang on for dear life, and you have to weather the storm of dropping back to 500 at 6-6. And you got a big game at home against the Seahawks, who just beat your backside, the previous week. With those games on the schedule, Panthers, Patriots, you've got the ability to very easily get to 8 wins, potentially 9 if you win the Seahawks game before even playing the Rams and the Niners to really kind of close out the season. And like, it would be, you'd be hanging on for dear life, but the path remains wide open, even, with a loss this week. But a win, I think, kind of kicks the door in a little bit.
Speaking of pass, here's the remaining schedule post-bye for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, we're at week 13 now, but I want to draw your attention to the Seattle Seahawks. So they have the Jets, which I disagree, Bo. I think at the Jets, inclement weather across country, like maybe Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like Breece Hall is going to play. They've got maybe one more vintage game under his belt. I'm still not sold on this Seattle Seahawks offense, but I expect the Seahawks to win. But then look at the gauntlet of games for the end of the year for Seattle. Like Cardinals, difficult game. Yeah, there we go. Cardinals, difficult game. Then you look at Green Bay, who looked fantastic last night on Thanksgiving. The Vikings, who, again, Cardinals play now. The Bears, who look much more competent, and I think will continue to be so following the dismissal of fraud Matt Eberflus. And then they wrap things up against the LA Rams. So I look at that schedule, and I'm like, I think I see at least 3 more losses for Seattle.
I don't know, man. I think you're spit and shining a couple turds on that schedule with the Jets.
The Bears?
The Jets, the Bears, yeah. I'm just not sold on that. I mean, if they're going to take some losses, I have no doubt week 15 is got some potential, and so does week 16. Like where the Cardinals are going to be able to make up some ground is that week. Those 2 weeks, I'm sorry. Patriots at home, Panthers on the road. Those are going to be key as far as really kind of tightening things up going into the stretch run of week 17 and 18.
This is a house money game for the Cardinals because, again, even if the Seahawks win and the Cardinals lose, you beat the Seahawks next week and you suddenly have an advantage until the final division matchups. And then it's anybody's ball game. But a statement win would do wonders for this team. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Darius Robinson, we teased it last weekend. Everybody else was questioning whether or not he would play against Seattle. This show a week ago said we didn't expect him to. He didn't. And then we came out and reported we expected his debut to be against Minnesota. And guess what? He's going to play on Sunday, barring something unforeseen.
Right.
Bo, what did the head coach have to say about D-Rob this weekend?
Yeah, well, let's hear from Gannon. Opened up his press conference, giving us a little insight as where his 27th overall pick is.
D-Rob has looked good. We'll see how he does today. If D-Rob is able to play, we got a plan for that, how to use him, because we realize it would be his first game back and he hasn't played a snap yet. So got to be smart about that.
I mean, some people are Twitter, our X, our social media sleuths out there wanting to say, like, using the word if. A lot of people are very skeptical that this is the weekend for Darius Robinson. They feel like fool me once, fool me twice situation here, where I just think that this is finally the long wait is over. They've got a plan in place. This is not a team that, you know, as they do prepare for any scenario, I don't think that they would be wasting their time making those proper preparations for Darius Robinson if they realistically didn't think he was going to play. Like, I think that this was Jonathan Gannon saying, barring any unforeseen setback, like you said, Johnny, Darius Robinson's going to be out there. He's looked good all week. He's now got 7 consecutive practices under his belt without incident. It looks good. He's chomping at the bit. He's a guy that wanted to be in the lineup last week. So what would be the point of holding him back any longer? So I expect him to play on Sunday against the Vikings.
Yeah, let me look directly into the camera here from this little fanboy podcast. That could Darius Robinson's playing on Sunday. He's going to play. He will debut for the Cardinals. Number 56 will be in uniform. And Bo, like I think the bigger kind of quote from that was not the if, but just, hey, we have to have a plan. We have to be smart. You know, Darius was pushing to play last week. For those of you who don't know, like, Darius felt good enough. The Cardinals exercised immense caution, and I think they did that so that they could feel good about deploying him at a high level when he was ready to play, when they felt like he was ready to play. I think last week could have been the week where they said, you know what, let's give you about 20-25% of the snaps and get your feet wet. But I think they held off, right? And they were right to do so, given the conditions and the fact that their defense still played well in Seattle. I expect Darius Robinson to play a lot this weekend. I think we're going to see him specifically on passing downs, critical downs. I think he's going to be a disruptor. Darius Robinson has a chance, and again, it's a broken record because we've been saying this since June and July, to be the best defensive player sans Budda Baker on this defense. This, like, why would you doubt that after watching what Rallis and Gannon have done all year? Look who they're making like marquee players, guys on this quote unquote no-name defense. Like, we shouldn't doubt. Like, you want to doubt Drew Petzing, you want to doubt some of the stuff happening on offense, do that, because it's worth it after last weekend. Yeah. I have no doubts, no pushback for how they want to deploy this defense. None.
Yeah, I would imagine, if it's a limited snap count, I think he probably still gets, in the 20s. And yeah, absolutely. I think maybe, especially when you watch the final scoring drive by the Seahawks in that game that iced it, where they go 10 plays, 49 yards, and they kick the field goal.
Yeah.
That was 3 for 4 on third down. And Darius Robinson could potentially be a drive wrecker on any 3 of those 4 plays, that they could have gotten off the field a little bit earlier, saved points, and it'd been a 1-score game. So I think that's really where they think, okay, we like how our defense is playing, but there's another gear to this. There's another level that we need to reach in order to kind of keep games within sights and give ourselves a chance.
We're going to give you a chance to get some deals here at PHNX Sports via AllCITY. That and more around the corner. Plus, we're going to be joined by our guy Craig Morgan with your official predictions ahead of Cards at Vikings. We talked about it. We're so fired up for our presenting sponsor today, Bet365. Again, the line -3.5 for Minnesota, but the party doesn't stop there. We've had NFL football yesterday. Most of those games were garbage, but still worth betting on. Today, a little bit of a banger. Raiders at Chiefs. Hope you got that money line action for Kansas City, or even some plus money on the Raiders. How about Brock Bowers? Anytime touchdown. I know a lot of people had that. And then looking ahead, a banner day on college. Yeah, I'm a huge Brock Bowers guy, as producer Damon knows. A huge slate of college football, plus the coup de grace Sunday. We're not going to talk about that Monday night game, Browns and Broncos, but all that and more right now can be wagered on with our friends at Bet365 using the bonus code PHNX365. When you sign up, deposit $10, place a $5 bet or more, get $150 in bonus bets, man. I know you've got an exclusive Bet365 parlay drop in Bo Brock that's going to debut a little bit later this weekend. I saw a peek of it. I like what I'm seeing. Download the Bet365 app, bonus code PHNX365. When you sign up, $5 get you $150. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
Heard there's a kind of a big game tomorrow down in the old Pueblo. You guys know anything about this? Arizona State, University of Arizona, down there in Tucson.
Never heard of it.
You want to rep one of your squads? Damon, how's the best way to rep the U of A tomorrow?
I mean, I'd say with branded bills, right?
That's right. Tap into their campus collection right now and rep your Wildcats. Try to pull off the upset, ruin a season like they've been known to do before. The only season they've ruined so far is their own. But can they ruin ASU's? Can Arizona State punch their ticket to the Big 12 championship game? Rep your Sun Devils. Fork them with your Branded Bills campus collection hat. Also, if you want to elevate your own brand, because they do it so well, you can work with one of their many very well-versed brand leaders right there. They can help you elevate your brand with some snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, tees. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style, and we're going to save you some money. Save 20% with the code PHNX right now. Go to brandedbills.com. Use the code PHNX, 20% off your first order by using that promo code PHNX at brandedbills.com.
So fired up to be partnering with our friends at Branded Bills. So fired up about the sales. AllCITY. Hey, let's check out the storefront ad one more time. We're going to be touching on it. How about those?
Look at those.
Those are available right now.
The collab.
And, yeah. And I think we get 30% off. Am I wrong, Bo Brock?
That's right. 30% off these brand new lids. That one in the middle is called my name. I probably wear that basically every day after I get it. I like this one, the white rope too, with the Phoenix on it. Looks really good. And then if you're a camo guy or gal out there, why not go with the one on the left? It's the Branded Bills PHNX collaboration. You can find right now as it continues up to 75% off, but 30% off those lids right there at store.allcitynetwork.com.
I've always wanted to be a camo guy. It just, hasn't worked out for your boy. But maybe this is my chance. Maybe this is my chance.
Yeah. And I was a camo guy to a fault sometimes.
Okay.
You would mention one point how many camo hats I had. So
yeah,
I've had to dial it back.
That's smart. There's such a thing as overdoing it. Those hats, by the way, would look fantastic at waste management. Like if you're planning on going to waste management this year in February here in the greater Phoenix area, those Brandon Bill PHNX sports hats, I think, go hand in hand with that. We go hand in hand here on our game preview show. Arizona Cardinals traveling to Minnesota. Brack, we talked about the Cardinals. Now let's talk about Minnesota. I feel like you're more impressed with the Vikings and what they're doing than I am. I think they have. I think this is just my opinion. I think they have peaked, and I think they are poised to be upset. And of course, you're going to need a collective effort from Kyler Murray specifically in this offense that no-showed last week. But man, oh man, I look at this depth chart for the Minnesota Vikings. They have elite skill players, right? Mm-hmm. But I think their offensive line, the Cardinals can manipulate. And you know what? This defense in the back seven, Cardinals really pushed around a good front seven for the Chicago Bears and the New York Jets. I know they took a week off because of Seattle. Can they get back to playing that kind of football? Because everybody came on the show and said, you can't push around the Bears. You can't push around Quinn Williams, right? The Cardinals did so, and they took advantage. They have to get back to that. I don't think this Vikings defense is impenetrable. Tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong that it's not impenetrable. It certainly has its flaws, and it has, some avenues for success. But then it's like I don't want to lead the audience astray and be like, hey, this should be a vintage Kyler Murray versus Minnesota game, or what he was able to do against Brian Flores back when he was the head coach and kind of the primary defensive play caller for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
When they lost the shootout to Tua and crew. I think that there is opportunity. I mean, Caleb Williams and the Bears offense put up 27 in a very winnable game for Chicago. But at the same time, like if you don't come to play like the Cardinals offense didn't last week, they're going to beat you up. They're going to take the ball away at a high level, top in the league as far as takeaways, 16 interceptions. You put the ball up there, they're going to come down with it, including former Arizona Cardinals cornerback Byron Murphy, who leads the way with 4. And then they're best against the run. What do the Cardinals want to do? They want to establish the run. Now, I would love to see the Cardinals make this a Marv day, like through the air. But, until that they can show a consistent way of doing that, I'm hesitant. I'm a little skeptical. I want to see it. I'm hoping for it, but I also don't want to tell people that that's what's going to happen on Sunday, because I can't definitively say it.
Well, I'm looking at the recent wins. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They beat the Joe Flacco Indianapolis Colts at home by 8 points. They then went to Jacksonville and beat Mac Jones by 5 points.
That's a miracle they pulled that off against the juggernaut offense like that.
12-7 banner game. Then they played Tennessee. Now, granted, they've won 3 straight on the road. They've played Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Chicago. So home cooking. I mean, fans are going to be excited to see this team. But hopefully fans get a big you-know-what sandwich when coming back home on December 1st at their Banner Stadium against the Arizona Cardinals, because Chicago Bears had an opportunity to win that game. They couldn't put it away. The Titans game wasn't relatively close, but this is a defense that had 30-plus points put on them in back-to-back weeks, dating back to week 7 and 8 against Detroit and the LA Rams. Like that, they can be penetrated. And then also, you look at some of their signature wins. I don't think they've aged well. They beat the Giants. They beat the Niners, right? I don't think those are good wins. They beat the Jets barely. They're probably their most significant win of the year is, they beat the Packers in a game the Packers could not have played worse in and rallied back and almost stole that game. So I don't think anybody's.
Houston was an impressive win. Houston was a very impressive win. I know they haven't. The CJ Stroud and crew haven't steadied the waters. They still are very inconsistent.
It's a different team than last year.
Yeah, but 7 points. I mean, holding any team to 7 points is impressive. But no, I mean, look, that's the thing. Like when you try to look at this team and they're a top 5 defense statistically. But then it's like they take advantage of the worst offense in the league in the Giants. They took advantage of the 3rd worst offense in the league in Jacksonville. They took advantage of the 6th worst offense in the league in the Tennessee Titans. And they took advantage of, the 8th worst offense in the league in the New York Jets. Like, they've played more bad offenses than they played good.
Well,
here's the good offenses that they played, Johnny. Like, those offenses perform normal.
That's
on
right.
Par.
How many great quarterbacks have they beaten this year? I guess is my point. Like Danny Dimes, Brock Purdy. I think, again, they beat CJ Stroud earlier in the year, and they beat Jordan Love on one leg. That was like Jordan Love's game back, right? After Malik Willis came in. They lost to Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, and since then they've been playing a lot of Joe Flacco. And they got picked apart by Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams threw what? Multiple touchdown passes, threw 2 or 3 touchdown passes in the second half against them last week. And obviously Caleb looked good on Thursday. So you can make an argument like Kyler Murray's going to be the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks they've seen this year.
Yeah.
So like by that metric, it should be a close game. Anytime they play a competent quarterback, minus the outlier game against Houston, the game is very close. If not, they lose that game. So
what do we know about Stafford? What do we know about Goff? And what do we know about the performance from Caleb Williams last week, not this Thanksgiving game?
What, just sitting in the pocket, throwing darts? Yep, pushing the ball downfield to their playmakers.
It's going to have to be Kyler Murray on Sunday. Like, obviously, like, get out and run when the opportunity presents itself. But, you know, it was by far Caleb Williams' best performance in the pocket. And Goff and Stafford are, you know, the definition of pocket passers. If you can stand back there, and if you can pick apart a defense, that's going to be key for Kyler Murray to show off kind of what he's been showing off this season, his poise in the pocket and trusting his playmakers and getting it to guys like Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson. Hunter Arizona just became a diehard just in time to hopefully see D-Rob.
Go.
Yeah, Hunter Arizona. Thank you, man. Shout us out on Twitter. As Johnny's pointed out, you get an immediate follow from the beat account, retweets from your entire crew here on the PHNX Cardinals, me, Johnny, Damon, Dawg.
Here's what the Vikings do really well. And welcome, Hunter Arizona. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our diehards. Drop a like on this video. The Vikings take away the running quarterback just about better than anybody because they put Van Ginkel, who's a good athlete, on the perimeter, kind of like a spy. He's got 9 sacks because of it. Dallas Turner, who we all expected to like blow up this year, has like 1 sack. It's Van Ginkel and it's Grenard. So, like, if you're Drew Petzing this week, and if you're Jonathan Gannon, the message has to be clear. The shtick that we used to beat the Chargers, right, and to maybe a lesser extent San Francisco, where Kyler Murray's booting out and he's running around, that can't be the formula this week. He will get killed. It will look like last week, right? The Seahawks did a hell of a job. It has to be Paris to Jonah, fortify a front, and Kyler Murray is going to need to throw 25 to 30 times from the pocket, and we just need some semblance of a competent running game. But like Kyler Murray, I see people talking about we need a Kyler Murray vintage dome game. He's running around like a madman. You're not doing that against this Vikings defense. You're not doing that against Flores. You need to. It's kind of scary. You got to do something you really haven't been asked to do that much this year, save for probably the Miami game. Go look back at that Miami second half. What did Kyler Murray do? He sat in the pocket with the blitz coming, Calais Campbell, all of 6'8", raining down upon him, and he sat in there and threw darts to Marvin and Trey McBride. That's the formula for Sunday. It's not, I'm sorry, Drew. Sorry to break it to you. It's not running James Conner 50 times.
I mean, it's Baldy told us on Wednesday, and you can find that interview right now. It's up on its own PHNX Sports YouTube page. But one of the ways to combat their exotic looks, their disguised packages on defense is to run right at them. But no, I think that the main piece to this, to putting up points, is going to be Kyler in the pocket making throws. Understanding what he's looking at pre-snap and being sound with it, especially up front. Like we talked to Clayton Adams, the offensive line coach. I asked him, like, what's the biggest key to kind of taking on such a defense that likes to win off disguising what they're going to try to do. And he says, you just have to, win your one-on-one. You have to understand, what your job is on any given play. And Clayton Adams, their O-line coach, this offensive line, like, I think they took their medicine the most of any position group this week. Like, they understand they didn't play well against the Seattle Seahawks, and that they need a bounce back in a big way against the Vikings.
I mean, does anybody expect them to play poorly again? Like, I think that's just It's a mentality thing. They're healthy, right? Like Tristan Colon is not as bad as he showed last week.
Yeah.
Uncharacteristically bad game from Evan Brown, who has been, outside of Paris, your most consistent offensive lineman. And then everybody in the chat, and I'm with you, like big game for Jonah Williams. Hey, Jonah, you've had a chance now. We've ridden with you. We've been patient. You supplanted a veteran that was performing at a high level. Need a Jonah Williams game. Like those guys have to show up. Jonathan Grenard's going to be coming at Jonah Williams, right? They've got defensive linemen. Bullard's a good player. Like I think about this offensive line and how exposed they were last week and how it was daunting. We're at our watch party in Gila and they multiple sacks given up on the opening drive. I'm going to chalk it up until I see otherwise, Bo, as that it was just a hangover effect from the bye. And they would never say that publicly. You blow out two bad teams with fraud coaches. You come out after the bye. Maybe you're feeling yourself a little bit. And the Seahawks let you have it. And that's why I think the Vikings are primed to be upset this week. It's the perfect recipe after how the Cardinals performed last week. I'm not saying they're going to get it done necessarily. But I think that's why Vegas is telling you this is a very close game.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a big difference between what you saw last week and what you're going to see this week. Like you mentioned Bullard and Phillips, like both good defensive linemen, but nobody's going to look like Leonard Williams. Nobody should look like Leonard Williams did last week. And you take that out of the equation, I think that this offense has a really good opportunity to really get back on track. And then like Jonathan Grenard is going to be the key coming off the edge to – you're going to have to slow him down. That's going to have to be a big, it's big on your tackles.
If you can somehow, this is the key. The Vikings, what do they do well? They play with a lead well, right? Like I feel like every game I've watched of them this year, they're up and then they let teams back in. Wouldn't it be great if the Cardinals jumped out to like a 10 to 14 point lead and then you had to have Sam Darnold be one-dimensional? What happens historically when that happens? He turns the ball over. He turns the ball over and gives it to the other team. Aaron Jones, by the way, can't stop fumbling this year.
Yeah, there's no record of like a vintage Sam Darnold come from behind games. It's never happened. Check. You can look through the annals of the NFL history. You're not going to find it. It's not on the resume.
He's been a really good player this year, and he deserves all the praise. But he also has a formula right now. You see it with the Vikings coaching staff. They're pushing the ball downfield, and he's got elite playmakers. Cardinals are going to have to combat that. We've got more on this game around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Big game for the Cardinals. Big game for us here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Wild Horse Pass. Come on out. Again, banner watch party last week. Didn't get the dub with the Cardinals, but a big dub. Over 50 of our favorites at Gila River last weekend. Let's double that number this weekend because Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. No one does it better. Wake up early. Let's get out there. Let's get fired up. Craig Morgan's going to be in the house. Myself, Damon, Dawg. They've got 4,500 slots, live table games to catch all the action. So if you're like, I'm going to take in the Cards game, then I'm going to go dabble for the late game at the Sportsbook. It's the greatest, most bestest, largest sportsbook casino, Brack, in the greater Arizona area. It's on par with any five-star casino in Vegas. I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience, it is top-notch. Go big or go home a winner. They've got an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement that awaits you. And again, we're going to be hosting watch parties for road games the rest of the year. So we just got a couple more left. Come and help us secure a division title. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts. Play at Gila.com, Bo, for more details.
I was on the road to spend some time with some family for Thanksgiving. Made my way back to the Valley of the Sun today, then hitting the road again tomorrow to Minneapolis for this game on Sunday. And I don't have to worry at all about my cell phone coverage. I have service every step of the way, thanks to our friends over at Verizon. It's time to switch to Verizon if you're looking at some other service provider for your cell phone, because right now you can get $200 Verizon gift card when you make the switch and purchase a select phone or select unlimited plans. Start off the holidays on the right foot with a great network. Use the gift card that starts checking out great tech gifts off your list like smartwatches, tablets, headphones, and so much more over at Verizon. I've had Verizon for over 10 years. I would never even think about switching, but if you have the opportunity, switch now and get that $200 gift card only at Verizon. Of course, $200 Verizon e-gift card is sent within 8 weeks and requires device payment purchase. Minimum price of $799.99 and port in with new smartphone line. Postpaid, unlimited plus, and unlimited ultimate plan required.
Craig Morgan's going to join us in just a little bit here. Drop a like on this video. The goal on a preview Friday, 350 likes from all of you. We appreciate you. If you're watching elsewhere, jump on over. If you're watching with us on our streaming partners, we appreciate all of you. And again, hit that like button. Cardinals have a lot of stake at this week, and I feel like we touched on it a little bit earlier this week. There's a lot at stake for Kyler Murray, Brack. When you think about, this team's ahead of schedule, right? All the good, feel-good headlines, they're out there, right? The defense looks fantastic, and they've got the weapons, right? Every week we're talking about Trey McBride, and every week we're like, got to get Marv more involved. He's such a freak show. This is a crucial time period for Kyler Murray not to be outplayed. I mentioned it on Wednesday's show by two, in my opinion, subpar quarterbacks as compared to him consecutive weeks. Like he's going to go Geno, Sam Darnold, Geno, right? Yeah. You don't want to be 0-3. You don't want to be 1-2 facing those quarterbacks if you're a guy making $50 million. Like, say what you want about the roster. These are the games where we need Kyler Murray, he knows this, to solidify himself, to differentiate himself, to put on a showcase where, maybe they're not X's and O's, the same team. They don't have better personnel at X, Y, and Z positions. Minnesota's got a better pass rush. You need your franchise quarterback to take over these kind of games.
Yeah, you do. It's time. It's overdue. You don't want to ever string together back-to-back subpar performances, and especially where you feel like you have the edge. And we identified why we feel like Kyler Murray gives the edge over Sam Darnold, despite his career resurgence this season, where he's been able to put up some pretty gaudy numbers from the passing statistics. But Kyler Murray, I think, with his performances previous to against the Vikings, where he's gone over 300 yards passing, and both of them even reached a 400-yard passing mark against the Vikings once in his career. He's thrown 3 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 2 picks in each of his games against the Vikings. So that's, if you find a team that he's thrown that many turnovers against, it'd be hard pressed to find it. But along with it, he got his offense into the end zone, and I think that maybe like last week was one of those outlier games where he has the one turnover, but he doesn't have any touchdowns. Like he's just got to be able to rip it in a sense this week. Just kind of go out there and find some deep shots that you like and take a chance with it and be okay with the, whatever is on the other end of that. If it's a pick or if it's a big play, I think that you need to give yourself the opportunity to do that.
Can't nickel and dime the Vikings to victory this week. You're not going to be able to play that style of football that I think Drew Petzing wants to play. We teased it in the earlier segment on the show, Bo. Like, I'm with you. Like, I don't want to see Kyler Murray turn the ball over.
Where the explosives been in this offense? They've just been non-existent, or at least were last week. And that's so key to get back on track.
I mean, you think about, they had big explosives in their win against the 49ers, right? I think save for the Charger game outside of the Kyler Murray run, and I don't think anybody expects your defense to hold this team to 15 points or under like you did in that game. Like Dolphins, big explosives. Bears, Jets game, you had big explosives, a lot of it coming from the run game. Like, you got to be able to push the ball downfield to win in this league, especially like late in the season. Like, there's that cliche of like, we got to be able to run the ball late in the season to win. And I agree with that to some extent. But when your identity almost is purely running the football and teams are going to stack 8 in the box like Seattle did last week, like, I don't want to hear about disconnect with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. like this point in the season. Guys, it's December. You guys have been working out together since May. It should look pretty good. Like, how many times do we hear about, oh, they don't have the back shoulder fade figured out, or they don't have the red zone tuned up, ready to go? It's like, guys, come on now. I'm watching the Raiders today with Aiden O'Connell off the bench, who hasn't played a good game in about 18 months. He's throwing deep shots. Brock Bowers is getting, explosives down the field for touchdowns. That's against Kansas City, in Kansas City. Nobody wants to sit here and watch this team, put up a stinker in the first half again offensively. Like, I'm sorry, Drew, it's not always going to be pretty where you're getting Eberflus fraud and the Jets at home and you can run the football. Like, this is a big game for Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, it's not long overdue. I mean, they were able to put together a couple good performances, but it needs to be the return of the explosive plays, and they're there. I mean, they were there for Bears offense last week against this Vikings defense. It's just a matter of not letting them disrupt with what you're trying to do pre-snap. I think there's been a couple what you can use to your advantage now, which was a disadvantage at the time against Seattle and against the Jets, where a couple pass rushers came free.
Yeah.
But make sure Kyler's sound pre-snap against this Vikings defense. That would really do it. And don't let this time around. Remember last time they were going up against the Vikings, it was a Patrick Peterson revenge game, and Patrick Peterson made some big plays in the secondary, and they had the 2 picks. Don't let Byron Murphy enjoy that either. Like ruin what a team that they view like they want to get revenge again, and don't be a deterrent to that. And just you'll help yourself out a lot.
Caleb Williams last week against this Vikings defense, 32 of 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. DJ Moore led the way with 106 yards. Keenan Allen at 86, Cole Kmet at 64. I think a lot of us would agree, like, Kyler Murray should be a better player than Caleb Williams at this point. I like the Cardinals receiving core on par, if not better, than Chicago's. And then the pass protection, historically for the Cardinals this year, significantly better than the Bears. Now, again, I know that's Soldier Field compared to at Minnesota this weekend, but I think Kyler and this offense can handle the crowd noise fine. I do think you go back and watch that third and fourth quarter, I'm not making excuses. Like, the elements took effect. Like, it was raining in Seattle, and Kyler Murray took a rib shot, and then he missed, Trey McBride open in the end zone. He let a ball sail on him. Like, elements should be fine. Tune out the crowd noise, have plays ready to go, and shut the crowd up with your play. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the chat right now. There's some back and forth going on from some Cards fans, some Vikings fans. You guys are crushing it today. Make sure you hit that like. Everybody welcome here. Enjoying this nice debate here, week 13. Can the Cardinals take advantage of the Vikings? Can they kind of come in there and squeak out a win? Can they get back on track? I mean, one performance does not nullify it. Michael Wilson was saying this when he joined us, earlier this week, a couple times, saying, "Hey, we just ripped off 4 in a row. Like, we were feeling good. Like, we played some good football there. It doesn't just erase everything that we've done." So the Cardinals offense, a lot of people, you're only as good as your last performance. They need to flush that. And, that's what Kyler Murray basically said this week. They can flush it, move on. It would, like we were saying in the first segment, do wonders as far as just kicking the door into really legitimizing themselves as a playoff contender the rest of the way out.
I mean, it would announce them to the rest of the NFC. I think with a loss this weekend, everybody's going to be ready to be like, they're done. Write the Cardinals off, right? And again, that's not the reality. They have a lot of winnable games left. But, let's say the Rams get a win this weekend. Of course, Seattle, if they get a win. Like, Cardinals are going to be an afterthought after this weekend if they lose. But if they win, it's going to be a different story. We got Craig Morgan, game predictions right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. You guys spend a little money here on Black Friday. How about saving some money or delegating some funds with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of PHNX Sports, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Venerable household? That's because, friends, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, and they got some banner debit cards to boot. They've got a team of financial experts committed to their members, like you, like me, helping to tailor financial solutions that make lives better. Help achieve your financial goals and dreams. Checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place to do your banking right now. Check out those debit cards on the screen if you're watching with us on our streaming partners and on YouTube. Check it out. We got the white helmet. I love that one. Of course, the vintage bird. I've got that one in the center, and then the player debit card on the far right-hand side. Show your team spirit online. Open up a free checking account. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBo to get started.
About to get to our game predictions, our key players for the Arizona Cardinals. But beforehand, I got to tell you about our friends over at Sanderson Ford. Get yourself in a new vehicle for the holiday season and save big with their Black Friday thank you sale the entire rest of the way here in the month of November. It ends on December 2nd. So check everything out, of course, at their beautiful 65-acre facility out there in the West Valley. Black Friday sales everywhere, and it's become the biggest sales period of the year. the day after Thanksgiving. Go out there this evening. Go check out our friends Ron and his friendly sales staff with their incredible no-nonsense, no hassle sales approach. Don't miss out on the Sanderson Ford Black Friday sales event, because you can go get a 2024 F-150 truck for 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus up to $4,000 cash back. Similar savings on the over 900 new and used pre-owned vehicles on the lot. Plus, they get an additional $1,000 Amazon gift card on the Bronco, the Mach-E, the Lightning, that F-150, and the Expedition. Only on the Black Friday, Saturday, and Monday. It's going to be going on. Check them out. See dealership for all the details.
Joining us now, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan, who's got not one but two banner articles available to read right now. Go PHNX.com, including my personal favorite. Darius Robinson draws inspiration from his deceased mom, D-Rob, poised to make his debut on Sunday in Minnesota. It's a cleanly shaven Craig Morgan. How we living, my friend?
I just tweeted it out. Apologies to everyone who has to look at this right now, but it's the holidays. So I had to let one thing go. I had a lot to work on this weekend, had to spend time with the family. So I figured I'd just let the beard grow. How were your holidays, by the way, boys?
They were great. They were great, man. Spent some time with some family, enjoyed it, watched some good football, some bad football. But you just check out, I see you went to the new Gladiator?
You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I had to leave the movie early.
Yeah?
To be with you guys.
Wow. Oh, wow. We blew it for you.
You cut off Ridley Scott and Denzel Washington for us?
Cut off the end of the movie. I'm going to get a report from my family when they get home. But I got to say, have you guys seen the movie yet?
No. I have a kid. I can't go to movies.
Well, there's a certain type of movie you can go.
Right.
I mean, if you want to go see Moana,
more in my lane.
Right. Yeah,
that's right.
There you go. All right, I'm not going to ruin it for you then. The only thing I will say is it just felt like somebody looked at the old script and said, how can we rewrite this? It looked like something fresh.
I would love for the Cardinals to rewrite their history, Craig Morgan, in Minnesota. They haven't won there since the 70s. What leads us to believe that they could do it this weekend? Now, I feel like going throughout this week, I'm a little bit more optimistic than my co-host here, Bo Brack. How are you feeling ahead of this game? Because I do think last weekend was an outlier. I think the Cardinals are healthy, and I think they are poised to rebound after that kind of effort under Jonathan Gannon, because historically they have.
Yeah, and I do think that's a possibility. I do think last week may be an outlier. Seattle was desperate in that game. They needed that game really badly, and I feel like the Cardinals owe everybody a response game. The offensive line owes a response game after that performance in Seattle. It would be nice if it were an easier opponent they were going to face. Minnesota has been one of the biggest surprises of the NFL this season. Hopefully people got a chance to read my Outside the Nest, so you can get a much better idea of what's happening there, including the revival of Sam Darnold has been an unbelievable storyline this season. But that's a tough team, guys, and you know it. This is maybe the toughest team in the division. They've got a really good defense. They've got a versatile defense. They've got a lot of playmakers on offense. The Cardinals have their work cut out for them.
I mean, what with this defense, who are some of the playmakers that stand out? Obviously, it's outlined in your Outside the Nest, but just doing your research, I mean, who are you looking at as far as Cardinals fans need to key in on, and this offensive line needs to slow down?
Well, that's the interesting thing about this defense. When you talk to the people that are covering it, it's not so much a lot of stars. I mean, they've gotten play from the edge. Obviously, they've got a bunch of guys that are, getting sacks. They're getting to the quarterback, and they've got a couple of strong safeties as well. But it's not like this is a star-studded defense. This is more a product of Brian Flores really scheming up, really getting the players that he wanted in the offseason and making it all work. As I think a lot of people will tell you about this defense, when you watch some of the things they do, you're like, what are they doing? And then it works out. There's some odd things. You see guys bouncing all around positions. Again, getting back to that versatility that Drew Petzing talked about. That is the thing that jumps out about this defense. They've got playmakers, but more appropriately, I think their coach is putting them in position to succeed.
Yeah. I think it's very similar to the Cardinals. I think they're getting greater production than the sum of their parts. And I think that these are two very well-coached teams. But in this instance, I think we just touched on it, Craig, like the differentiator has to be the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Like Bo and I have talked about it all week. And people have been asking us, rip Kyler Murray after last week. Can't you condemn his performance against Seattle? I'm like, he didn't have a great game again, but like it's NFL, it happens. But what I will say is, with the division on the line, and you get Sam Darnold, Geno in consecutive games, followed by like, Jacoby Brissett and Bryce Young or Drake May or whomever, this is the time to seize the NFC West. Like, you've taken care of business. I'm going to applaud you when you beat Brock Purdy and you beat Matthew Stafford, right? But I do think it would be a missed opportunity. I don't think the season's over if they lose this game. Let me just point that out. At 6-6, they're still very viable. But the optics, I think, are very important for Kyler Murray versus Sam Darnold. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are at all. And I agree also that the season's not over if they lose this game. They're still very much in the race for this division because of the games that you mentioned they have coming up. And, you know, they're in this stretch of games that we've been talking about for a while as a chance to really separate themselves. Obviously, they didn't separate themselves in Seattle, but they'll get the Seahawks back. And honestly, I'll say it right now. I expect the Cardinals to beat the Seahawks in that second game. Now, again, if they can go into Minnesota and win this game, you're in a great position again with those 3 games that you've got coming. I just, when I look at the performance, that was more an outlier for the offensive line, I would say, than any other part of this team. I didn't expect to see that at all. If I had picked areas where I thought the Cardinals were going to break down, that wasn't going to be it. They couldn't protect Kyler Murray at all. I didn't think he had that bad a game, honestly. Even the throw, the pick 6, you obviously don't want to give the other team points. I don't know if you guys saw our old friend Kurt Warner weighing in on that. You're supposed to try and make a play in that situation. It's 4th down. You got to make a play because otherwise you're turning the ball over anyway. He didn't make a great play, but he was under siege in that game. And I know people have talked about Jonah Williams. You got to go back to Kelvin Beachum. I don't buy that. That was a complete breakdown by the line. That's not on Jonah Williams. In fact, he panned out a little better than some of the other guys in that game. The offensive line has to get back to what it's doing best. It has to establish the run because we know that's how the Cardinals offense gets going. So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, I talked to Clayton Adams, their offensive line coach, today, and he really did seem like that was an outlier performance, and the team, that group, was taking their medicine and making sure that it wasn't going to happen again. And it's led by, one of the budding leaders, if not already established leaders, in Paris Johnson Jr. I like that you pointed out in the Outside the Nest, and for our Vikings friends watching, that the Vikings haven't been to a Super Bowl this century, 1977. It's been a long time. Cardinals were in the 08, 09 area, but that's no big deal that they've been more recently. You also talked to Darius Robinson yesterday. You got some one-on-one time with the 27th overall pick. What's your sense? Are we going to sweep across the board as far as hosts on this show that you believe he'll make his long-awaited debut this Sunday?
I just get that vibe, don't you guys? I mean, based on what they've been saying, based on what he's been saying, it feels like it's time. I don't know how much he's going to play, and I heard Jonathan Gannon say today that they've got a plan if he does play. So they may limit him. We'll see. That a lot of that will be dependent on game situations and what he gives them. But it just feels like, what are you holding back for anymore? It feels like it's time to get Darius in, and we'll talk about that a little more later. But I'm really curious to see what he can do with all this time off and all that he's been through. I don't want to get too much into the story. I hope people read it. It's not behind our paywall because it felt wrong to put that behind our paywall. But it's clear from anybody that you talk to that his mom was such a force in his life, such a force for good. She really shaped who he is. This is a tough one for him, man. He came back, and it, like he was saying to me yesterday, that's when the reality of it sets in. You come back from the service, you're away from family, you get back to your other life, and suddenly you realize she never got a chance to see me play, and that's not going to happen now. It doesn't feel real. So I know he's going to inspire. I know she's going to be thinking about him, or he's going to be thinking about her during this game, during every game. He said that's the why for every game for the rest of my career. It was a really powerful interview. I really appreciated him taking the time. And honestly, guys, I also felt like we owed him the respect to ask him about that, because it had all been about, when are you coming back? When are you going to play? This guy just lost his mom. That's a big event in anybody's life, especially somebody that young. But I appreciated his candor.
It's a great article. I recommend everybody go read it at gophnx.com right now, of course, on Darius Robinson. And we feel very confident he's making his debut. We're going to debut our picks for the game here, players of the game. Let's get it started, gentlemen. Bo, I will defer to you, my friend. Get things going here on a Football Friday.
We've talked about it a little bit. I tweeted out his past performances against the Vikings, and I'm looking for a Kyler Murray game. It's necessary at this point. You need Kyler Murray to bounce back in a big way. He's gone over 300 yards passing against the Vikings in his 2 previous games. Nearly went 300 yards against Brian Flores' Miami Dolphins defense 4 seasons ago. He went over 100 yards on the ground. Like some gaudy statistics against all parties involved on the defensive side of the football for the Vikings. So I'm looking for a Kyler Murray game. He's going to want to shut up some of the haters that came out of the woodworks after a month hiatus. Give me Kyler Murray as far as the offensive star. And then with Cam Robinson being your left tackle, starting left tackle, acquired in a trade, filling in for a very impressive left tackle that they lost for the season. I like Zaven Collins. He's done a really good job in getting to opposing quarterbacks the last couple of weeks. He had a couple half sacks and he had 2.5 sacks in one game, and he had a sack last game. So he's just been getting to the quarterback lately. I expect him to do so at least once this week, continue to notch and ratchet up that pressure. And then my X factor as far as the entire team is Paris Johnson Jr. in this offensive line. If this offensive line can have a get-right game, can get back on track, Arizona Cardinals should be in a position to win this football game.
I like those. Zaven Collins playing incredibly well, maybe his best football pass rusher to date. And the Cardinals need to put pressure on Sam Darnold. Like, I know that's cliche, but I think this is the kind of game where allow Garrett Williams and Budda Baker and the returning Jalen Thompson to play some of these balls in the air. Do not allow Sam Darnold, like Jordan Love earlier this year. That's my biggest fear, Craig, to have 10 seconds in the pocket and pick apart you with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. It's not going to end well if that happens.
No, completely agree with that. You're right. But if you can pressure Sam Darnold, if you can force him into those split decisions, he's going to make mistakes. He's shown that he will throw the ball in harm's way. He'll get impulsive and try and make a play instead of taking the safe play. So, yeah, pressure is going to be critical in this game.
I'm fired up about Bo's picks. I'm fired up selfishly about mine, and I'd like to review them right now on PHNX Cardinals here on Football Friday. A lot going on here. I'm double dipping with first round picks. Let's start with Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think the Cardinals can win this game if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't have a big game, doesn't have a touchdown, doesn't have over 100 yards, doesn't have a bunch of yak. Let's get some creativity. How about an end around? How about a screen? Get him early targets. Get him feeling himself, right? Help him take the crowd out of this game. This is not a 3 yards in a cloud of dust game with James Conner. This has got to be big explosives. That starts and ends with Trey McBride and specifically Marvin. Trey McBride is going to have a lot of attention on him. There is not a corner, in my opinion, on the Minnesota Vikings, and it includes Byron Murphy, ex-Cardinal, that can slow down Marvin when he gets going. I think it's an indictment of Drew Petzing. Again, if we look up and it's halftime, and this kid's got 20 yards, like, get him involved. Speaking of getting involved, Baron Browning defensively, I know Damon Dawg put the LOL in there because I've dogged him.
I did. I
appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'm about to be laughing at the haters this week. You know, we put it out there at the trade deadline that I was not impressed with this acquisition. Everybody said, you're going to be wrong. Wait till what you see what he does. The Cardinals need him this week. No more no-shows in the box score. I know he's had some pressures. Congratulations. Pressures are getting Cardinals nothing right now. I think he has a big game. I'm willing it into existence, gentlemen. But we cannot have 53 out there on critical passing downs, not finishing at the quarterback. Like, he did not look good last week against Geno Smith. And then I'll double down. I think Darius Robinson makes maybe not a game-changing play, but a significant play in this game. Whether it's a forced fumble, a strip sack, a tackle for loss. Loss last week, gentlemen, in the Seahawks pass rush was the fact that the Cardinals pass rush also had 5 sacks. The fact that Budda and Zaven and Lucetta and Dante Stills and LJ Collier all got pressure against the Seahawks up front. Something that the Niners couldn't do at home the week before. Sans Nick Bosa on the final drive. I think now you add Darius Robinson. I believe the story out of this game, regardless of how the offense looks, defensively, I think the Cardinals defense keeps it going. And I think they get after Sam Darnold. I think it will be a reverse of last week where the Cardinals offensive line looked bad. I think the Cardinals make the Vikings offensive line look bad in this game.
Whew. Wow.
You needed 3 sacks from Sam Darnold against, the Bears defense that's struggled a bit. Got to Sam Darnold 3 times. Can the Cardinals continue to do that? Baron Browning, I think, since being acquired, has made this segment far too often, and he needs to finally back it up with a performance. Craig, let's keep it going with your
Hang
pick.
on one sec. For those watching on our streaming platforms, jump on over to gophnx.com. So if you're with us, any of our streamers on TV, party continues, Craig's predictions and more, gophnx.com. And while you're there, read Craig's article.
Let's see.
All right.
Let's get into it, Craig. All right.
Yep. I promise that I promise to our viewers that we do not collude when we come up with these, because you're going to look at these and you're like, wait a minute, I've seen all these before. Yeah, I'm predicting a big game from Kyler Murray too. This pass defense is not that good either, Johnny. I think there's opportunities. If the O-line does show up the way it needs to show up after that performance we saw in Seattle, I think this could be a big Kyler Murray game. We'll see about that. I don't know what else to say about Zaven Collins because Bo took all of my material. But I do like what he did last week. I feel like he's coming on. I feel like the presence of other players might help him. And one of those players is my X factor, Darius Robinson.
Yeah.
And this, to me, Johnny, I don't know if he's going to make a big play. This is a true X, in my opinion. I don't know what to expect from Darius Robinson. I don't want to place huge expectations on him when he hasn't played a single snap of NFL regular season ball, and he is jumping in midstream. This is a tough situation for him, and I know he's had all the reps in practice. He's been running before and after practice. He feels like his conditioning is good, and he's amped up to go. But this is not an easy assignment stepping into your first game when all these teams are in midseason form. So we'll see if he can make an impact, though, here and moving forward. Man, what an addition for this team down the stretch it would be.
Be great to see Darius slow down their rushing attack, too. You look at the games where they've been tight. It's been when you've been able to slow down the Vikings on the ground and Aaron Jones last week. 106 yards against the Bears. He snapped about a 7-game streak where he didn't have 100 yards on the ground. If you keep him around like the 3 yards per carry, put this offense in, third and hopefully second and third and long, I think it would make Sam Darnold look like a pedestrian to below average quarterback if you can generate the pressure. Damon, let's bring it home, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's do it. I'm going with Trey McBride, upset of the year. No one saw it coming. I'm going to keep saying it. Best player on the team. Feed him the rock. Good things happen. Defensive star, Budda Baker. I know this one's a shock as well, but he's been playing good ball recently. I predict a Budda Baker turnover forced this week. I think he's been playing good, but he's been a little bit light on the big turnover plays. And I think we get one of those this week. And then X Factor, Jonah Williams, might as well be the entire offensive line. I think if the offensive line shows the cohesion they've shown most of the season, the Cardinals offense will be fairly successful. It leads to running the football at an effective rate. And, Jonah Williams is a key cog of that coming back in his second week here.
Damon, how many straight weeks is that with Trey McBride?
It's got to be at least 8 in a row.
We might need to institute a new rule. There might be a max. We might have put a cap on it somewhere. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question, Craig. When has it been wrong?
Yeah, true.
He has been a beast this season. He has been a beast.
I like your X factor because I think it's like a mandate. Like Jonah Williams, come on, man. We need to, you were a top free agent signing. Cardinals brought you back. They disrupted their offensive line cohesion. He played fine last week. He had some lapses. The whole offensive line, I thought, suffered last week. What's the upside of playing Jonah Williams? We need to see that on Sunday. You had a great thing going, and you said, nope, the upside is worth it, right? And then Tristan Colon regressed. So I need a vintage Jonah Williams mauling people in the run game kind of performance, Bo. I know you laugh at that, but I'm being 100% sincere. You guys, it's going to become the story of the year if the offensive line looks like trash again after they disrupted it. Fair or not to Jonah Williams. So the best way to combat that is for the right tackle to play great football on Sunday. That the headlines write themselves. They suck again up front. People are going to be like, look what you did. You blew it at right tackle. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have this source. They struggled with it internally of whether or not it was the right thing to do. So there's a lot of pressure on that decision this week after last week's no-show from that group.
with this team getting healthier, you're seeing pressure all around the roster. I mean, with Jalen Thompson returning and Rabbit Taylor Demerson having a pretty good 2-game stretch, and we'll see what they end up doing as far as the place kicking position. But they're having some debates internally, as you mentioned, and they made the decision to go back to one of their top free agent acquisitions, what they viewed the best long-term solution at the right tackle spot, over somebody who filled in admirably, played really well, Kelvin Beachum, for that offensive line. Their best clip probably under Jonathan Gannon that they've played. So it's tough. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't, as far as these predictions go. Johnny, myself, Craig, and Damon. Let's see how the gang kind of views this game going on Sunday. Let's see them.
Before we do that, Bo, why don't we get into your favorite part of the week? We look at the score prediction record.
Oh, you're such a bastard.
Get this out of here. Burn this.
Damon.
Damon. That's sorry.
Signing off in droves. Why would you do that? Don't even update that any longer. Flip those numbers too.
I will say, Johnny. No, Johnny, I just went through all of it right now while we were live, and I did skimp one win off of you last week. I won't lie.
Thank you.
But you do have 4 wins on the season.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel I'm right. I'm slumming it with the rest of you losers.
All right. Let's hope my record gets worse this weekend, because I've got the Cardinals losing this weekend on the road to the Vikings. Vikings are 9-2. They play very well at home. I want to see the Cardinals get right. I absolutely think there's paths to it, but if you're forcing me to make it a prediction and a educated guess, I'm just going to say that the Vikings are just playing a little bit better ball right now. I hope I'm wrong. As I said, there's a couple ways that they can get it done, and going off of a lot of our offensive and defensive and X factors, it's going to take those guys having big games for this to happen. But as of right now, I've got the Cardinals losing 28-18 on the road to the Vikings. But look, that doesn't shut the door on them going to where they want to go and continue to vie for a playoff spot.
You want me to go next here?
Yeah.
All right. This was a tough one for me, actually, because I thought about a lot of the things that Johnny was saying, and I really think that there's an opportunity for the Cardinals to respond in a big way in this game offensively. And I do think there's an opportunity against this defense, in spite of the numbers that we're looking at. They're an incredible team in terms of sacks, right? You see some of the gaudy numbers this defense puts up. They're a great team against the run. I feel like the offensive line owes a response, but I wish it were a different matchup this week. This is a really tough matchup for the Cardinals coming off a loss. I don't think they quite get it done, but as Johnny noted earlier, I also don't think that's the end of the season for them with the next 3 games coming up. And even those 2 games within the division that are by no means unwinnable games. They have a stretch of games where they can right the ship. They would just fall to 500 with this record, and then they have an opportunity still. I think they'll be very much in the NFC West race, even if they lose this game.
Damon, you go.
Yeah, Damon.
Oof.
I think it's going to be real low scoring. I really respect what the Cardinals defense has done recently, and I think Sam Darnold is slowing down. So I think the Cardinals defense is going to have a good outing, but I don't love the matchup with the Vikings defense and the Cardinals offense. I think that they kind of nullify the run game a little bit, and that leads to the Cardinals struggling to score and Cardinals low scoring loss.
Bo, I am sorry for you if you have to watch that game that Damon is predicting, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The score is lower than the temperatures.
I guess I'm on a limb here on my own, which is not uncommon for this show. I think the best version of the Vikings have passed. I think we saw that in September and October. And I think we have been led astray as of late, because they have been beating on the AFC South. And by beating, like beating by 1 score. And they barely beat a Chicago team that had a janitor as a head coach, respectfully, that was fired today.
Maybe his best job
in the NFL. Like, legitimately have been gifted wins.
A janitor that had to clean the toilets one last time, and then they fired him.
I mean, again, since losing to the Rams, they have played 3 teams that are not good in the AFC South. Yep. The 3 bottom dwellers. Then they beat Eberflus, right? And some of those games, most of those games are 1 possession. This is the first time since they played the Rams in Detroit at the end of October that they're going to play a real football team. That a real football team that's going places in 2024.
I just want to correct one thing, Johnny. Eberflus beat himself. Because he does that every week. Okay.
Yeah. He's self-sabotage. Is there a recipe for the Cardinals to lose this game? Absolutely. But if you don't think this game is going to be close, one possession, I like give me Jonathan Gannon in his return to Minnesota. Give me Drew Petzing in a revenge game in his return to Minnesota. There's so many fingerprints from this Cardinal coaching staff from their time in many. They know it well. They know Kevin O'Connell well. And I'm going to tell you right now, how has Nick Rallis done against Shanahan disciples this year? Well, he shut down Kyle Shanahan, and he shut down Sean McVay, and he shut down Mike McDonald in the second half against Miami. Give me a foursome this year. He's going to go 4-0 against Shanahan disciples, and he's going to get the dub. But he lost to LaFleur, so 4-1. So I missed before, but that's an outlier game. I do think the Cardinals win this game. I think last week was a perfect storm, again, where they were feeling themselves off the bye. They're going to come back this week refocused. This is not them losing last week because of injury and they're depleted and they've got Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach. Those kind of losses, and this is what I kept preaching last week, those kind of losses happen to everybody. But that's a perfect opportunity that we could look back at that game and say that was a blessing in disguise. You could get refocused and you can win a much bigger game on the road this weekend against a good team and then get your mojo back. I think that's what happens. I think the Cardinals win this game late in the fourth quarter, and I think it projects them to the NFC West title. I honestly do. I felt a weird way about this game all week. I did not feel great about some games in prior, and they lost those games and didn't think they'd beat San Francisco. I just think too much of Jonathan Gannon and specifically Nick Rallis right now. I don't think they're losing to Sam Darnold, home or away. That's my opinion.
Johnny V, all the feels. Wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
This defense, man, they get a couple turnovers. Look out. Like there's no reason for me to believe that this defense is going to look terrible this weekend.
I love your passion. I do. And I hope you're right. I hope you're right and everybody's wrong. Usually I'm on the opposite end of that one. I hope you're right and we're all wrong, and we're celebrating the big Cardinals win on Sunday. Craig, your preview article is going to hit this weekend. Already some great stuff already up on the website, gophnx.com. And unlocked is the Darius Robinson story on his late mother. It's a great read. It's going to have each and everybody, if you're not already, pulling for the young man. Craig spent some time with him and got some tremendous insight from people who know Darius very well and Darius himself. Go phnx.com. Craig, have a great weekend. Enjoy the old Pueblo tomorrow. We're looking forward to that work as well.
Yeah. Bo going solo in Minnesota. Good luck with the weather there, buddy. I am driving down to Tucson to cover the Territorial Cup, mostly because I don't like the cold. So
there you go.
All right, boys.
Great stuff from our guy, Craig Morgan. He's going to be out at Gila this weekend with us. So come party with Craig, myself, Damon. We're going to be at Gila River looking for a win as Bo will be live in Minnesota. We do have a super chat, Bo, that we want to grab.
Yeah, let's get to it. Damon, there he goes. Craig S. Morgan on Twitter, on X. Damon, let's take a look at our lone super chat. Who's there? Josh Espada, 02-499. Go Devils. Damon, what's it like watching U of A suck at football and basketball?
Oh, no, shots fired.
And knowing Scadaboo is going to destroy the Wild Kittens tomorrow. Also, hi. Damon had the fact that he's doing the show right now after Wildcats lost another game in hoops is just a testament to the guy showing up, just doing his job.
I'll tell you what, Josh, everything sucks. Sports are awful. Imagine dedicating your entire life to this. I've never felt lower in my entire life.
Cardinals are going to pick you up, Damon. We're going to pick you up. I'm physically going to pick you up at Gila this weekend and throw you around the room after the Cards get a dub. That's the only thing that can save this weekend.
If the Cardinals beat the Vikings, I'm going to MHJ style jump into your arms while you Paris Johnson me, and it's going to be beautiful.
I'm a little uncomfortable with some of these sayings, but yeah, all that's going to happen. Absolutely. Josh, we appreciate the super chat. We appreciate all the support, and we appreciate you checking out the All City storefront. Let's see it one more time. 75% off for the entire weekend. And once stuff goes, it's gone, friends. So get it while you can. I know one of my favorites is the celebratory tee, clinging to life at the storefront. Just a couple t-shirts left. But again, 75% off the entirety of the store, including our number 18 collection, which is white hot and popular, is 30% off. Store at allcitynetwork.com. Get your orders in now. Become a diehard. Get a free piece of merch. And then, again, dabble on Black Friday throughout this weekend for 75% off up to and remake your wardrobe, bro, Brock.
Absolutely. It's hoodie season. It's officially hoodie season. We got some brand new hoodies that you're going to save immediately on. Best time to get in, 30% off. How about the PHNX Cardinals hoodie? It's a beautiful red. It's going to look great on any Cards fan out there. I encourage, check it out, store.com or store.allcity.network or sorry, store.allcitynetwork.com. Good Lord, but look at that up in the right corner. Arizona football, the PHNX Cardinals helmet. Join the crew officially with this one. I also got the black All City football hoodie as well, Johnny. Can't wait to rock these. And I got the other ones to clean my car with, like the Philly one and the DLLS one. Just going to have them as for like rags around the house.
Get some merch. Rep it this weekend. We got some more super chats. Kyler Plummer with a $1.99 super sticker. And then he says, Jesus V has spoken. Go Cards. I appreciate that. Jesus V, Jesus V. I'll take either one. And we'll get this dub this weekend.
Who's Kyler Murray there with? Is that Jake Plummer too?
Yeah. I'm guessing that's where Kyler Plummer comes from. Richard, $1.99. How much does Rabbit and Max play this weekend? I think Taylor Demerson is still a little bit of a focal point in the defense. I think maybe 50% of the time. Max Melton's a full-time starter in my eyes. He was not injured last week, sick, and we saw Sean Murphy Bunting, and we saw how that went. I would assume Max Melton's at full go this weekend, Bo.
Yeah, look, it's going to be all hands on deck in this defensive secondary. And Max Melton, Rabbit Taylor Demerson, and Garrett Williams, who had a pick last week, going up against Jetta's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hockenson. All those guys have to be sound and have to have their best games of the season in order to make this thing possible for the Cardinals. I think Rabbit gets in some 3 safety packages. I'm sorry, Johnny.
No, you're fine. I just go with what got you here, and that's Max Melton. Respectfully to Sean Murphy Bunting. He was outplayed by Max Melton. Max Melton did a tremendous job against Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson a couple weeks ago. Let the guys who shut down Chicago and the New York Jets skilled players, let them do that against the toughest receiving core in the NFL. Now, I think a good question is who's on TJ Hockenson. That could be a Rabbit Taylor Demerson situation. That could be Jalen Thompson's assignment coming back from injury. The Vikings' best part of their team is their skill players, unequivocally. I think that's going to be tough, and see if Sam Darnold will throw a pass or two going the other way. Everybody drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Again, smash that like. The goal here on a Football Friday, 350 likes, Bo Brock. Boy, oh boy, do we have a banner weekend of coverage for you.
No doubt about it. Follow my journey to Minneapolis. I'll start that tomorrow. We'll get some content in the exclusive member Discord. It's always popping off 24/7. If you like the chat here, join the chat that's always ongoing. Only way to do that is become a diehard today. Along with that, you get a free t-shirt for the year. Don't miss out any longer. Why are you spending the rest of your days not being a Go PHNX diehard? So go PHNX.com. Yeah, man, looking forward to it. I can't wait to get my eyes on this stadium. Hopefully, I think I might even be able to get some field access down there. Hopefully give you some sights and sounds before the game. Would be a little change up in coverage. We'll see. But hopefully talking to you guys pre-game and then post-game after a dub.
I expect it, and I expect to see all of you out of Gila. If you're not in Minnesota, come party with us at the Watch Party Wild Horse Pass. Let's get some good vibes going. And again, great chance. If you haven't met our guy, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan, get out. Let's hang out with Craig. I'm trying to coax Coach Starks into coming, making sure he's got his VIP pass, hanging out tongue in cheek. Hopefully he's gonna be there with his fam, and of course Damon, Dawg. Would love to see everybody out there at Wild Horse Pass to rally us to this dub. We need all of you. We've had some bad luck with our outcomes of our games at Wild Horse Pass, but the vibes are always immaculate. In the meantime, for Bo, Brack, Damon, Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. We need Bo to have that energy Johnny had in Miami. Well, Bo, can you scream like that in the press box? I think you might be taken and beaten if that were to happen.
Maybe I'll go find the last row of the stadium there at in Minnesota and scream my head off like Johnny did watching the Cardinals walk off the Dolphins. By the way, what the hell happened to the Dolphins last night?
Damon?
You guys are mean people. Like I said, sports are dead. Nothing matters. No Cardinals.
Were the Dolphins ever going to win that game? Come on. That was.
I mean, you literally you did say that'll go well.
I did say that sarcastically. It'll go well. Everybody drop a like on this video. Smash the like. Drop a comment below. Give us your score predictions for Sunday. Speaking of predictions, we're going to have pre-halftime post-game show live from Healer, myself, Craig, Damon, Britton Golden, the playmaker, plus content all weekend throughout. Be sure to like this video. For Bo, Brack, Damon, Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. Have a wonderful, happy, healthy holiday weekend. We'll see you at the game.
We all silly like the mayor.